All right, so like we were saying, we had a friend that we both have a friend that has was diagnosed with the coronavirus, and he was laid up for like 2 weeks. His
Like legit diagnosed, not
Yeah,
just sick and thinks he has it. He
yeah,
was.
his friend or something was in London, and they were at like a garage party or something like that, and they were all hanging out. And he was saying a lot of it was like it was hard breathing and that, like they all say it is, but a lot of it was he was saying he was exhausted. Like he's like I could drink a pot of coffee and go right back to bed. Like that's how he was just run down and so.
Yeah, the more I'm looking into this, bro, I just watched a guy named David Icke. Do you know who he is?
Of course, yeah, the lizard man. He's wicked. I love him. He's so crazy. He's
Yeah.
so
So,
nuts.
well, my friend keeps sending me his videos, and he's convinced that this is a big Bill Gates type conspiracy to get a vaccine um,
Yeah,
throughout the race, like the essential chip or whatever, and then make it so that like you can't fly or you can't go to the movies. You have like a social credit score and
yeah.
whatnot. So that's what he's.
That's I know that's what we were saying earlier, and it's freaky that if you think of it as it's not just a virus, there's something more beyond it. Like, is the deep state behind this? Is they're crashing it
We
for?
should clarify what the deep state really.
Yeah, can you do that actually? That's you got a
So,
better take on
so
it.
basically, you could call it a bunch of things. That the globalists, the deep state, they all generally take on the liberal side of the political scale there.
Yeah,
Not necessarily though, but what they are is they're going for more of a one world agenda.
one and they're like a one world government, right? It's not like the states. It's like the entire
Yeah,
world. It's the elites of the 1% of the world in a sense, right?
I guess yeah, and what
Yeah,
their goal is to have this world be sustained for themselves and for the future of their offspring and whatnot, right? So
yeah,
it's sometimes when you think about it's hard to think about because sometimes I think in order for the planet to move forward with technology and as one, we should all be on the same page,
yeah.
which would be great if the leader running that page had the righteousness for everybody instead of just for him and his buddies, and then all the rest of the peasants can can be.
Yeah. Well, isn't that basically what like a king would have been? Like it was like him and his royalty.
Mm, yeah,
And then all the peasants are just kind of like fending for themselves. So,
yeah.
okay, so this just popped in my head. Do you think this is kind of more of a like a deep state where they're trying to get the elite and then the peasants? So they're trying to wipe out the
Oh
entire
yeah,
middle
I
class.
I think yeah, exactly. Just what you said. The middle class. Let's
Yeah.
abolish the middle class. The people
And
that.
now, why is that? I never understood. Why would they want to get rid of the middle class? What's the purpose? What's the benefit? Is it just to keep the poor poor and the rich rich, and then
I
nobody's in between?
I believe so. I think it's as simple as that. To be
Yeah.
honest, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like a lot of the middle class have the ability to think for themselves and
They're
question
educated.
stuff. Do you know what I mean? So if they can
Mm,
slowly take away their money and their freedom and their rights, then they can kind of corral them into more of a sheepish
yeah.
uh,
Oh,
type.
That's so that's so scary to think of and dark to think of. But it's like I've seen so many documentaries on it that it's hard not to believe that it could be that, right? Like
You know what I always think? I always think back to like when I watch these movies like Blade Runner or Total Recall or The Running Man with Arnold back in the day, and
yeah,
these were like Mad Max, like the first one, and I feel like that's the kind of like time zone we're getting into.
well, isn't Mad Max like 2030 or something? Was it? I can't remember, but
I don't even remember.
it was like Back to the Future when it was like 2015. They're gonna have flying cars.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have any of that.
yeah, yeah. No
I
kidding.
still have a vest like he has in that
Who,
movie.
Marty
Michael J.
McFly.
Yeah, I have a vest like that in
Marty
Rocket.
McFly. Yeah, I've seen some interesting. That's one subject we'll have to go into too is time travel.
Yes.
A lot of interesting stuff there, and I'd love to do a deep dive into The Simpsons.
I was literally just thinking of The Simpsons. How many things they have predicted?
Yeah, yeah,
Crazy. It's insane. But yes, I'd actually like to do an episode on The Simpsons. So
yeah. Let's The
I'll take a
Simpsons
note of that
and time travel and just throw it all into one because it's.
because it's kind of they kind of go with
Oh
it.
man, how do they predict this stuff? Like it's something else, right? And which
Yeah.
leads back to this, like this deep state. Going back to the deep state and whatnot. They're the globalists. They have the one world agenda versus the other side, which is more the sovereign nation. So every country is their own power, and they trade with other countries and make their own types of deals. More like a free capitalist type of market
Yeah,
versus, I guess you could say, a communist type of market on a global scale, or fascist, or whatever.
for sure. So let's also get back to Q because we were talking about that with how Q is trying to take out of.
Yeah, so Q would represent the other side, the sovereign side, which is what Trump is about, right? And which is, I believe, what Putin is about. Like those types of guys are Putin being the president of Russia.
Yeah, I
They,
know who it is. Yeah.
yeah, they want. I know you do, but I was just for the
Oh
listeners.
yeah, for sure.
They want to get their own country strong and be able to support their own countries by themselves and keep
Yeah.
business and everything flourishing in their own countries, right? So what happened is Q is apparently a group of military elite and powerful rich people on the opposite side as these deep state globalist, I guess you could say, liberal side faction of
Yeah.
people that are doing like really heinous.
Really left wing liberals, right? Is that how you would like it?
Yeah, I guess
Not really liberal in the.
I'd like to keep away from the liberal and Republican, but it just
Yeah.
kind of like fits the narrative, to be
Yeah, for
honest,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that one side there is, they own all the news stations and the TV shows, and and the actors and musicians.
Mhm.
They're all on the left side, which is the deep state side, which is the bad Hollywood stuff that's going on.
But they've sold it to us as they're the heroes. They're the ones giving us the truth with the mainstream media
Of
and
course,
all that stuff, right? But it's
of course.
just like they're hoodwinked us, and we don't.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not really seeing what's actually going on.
But at the same time, I don't think the other side's going for average Joe either.
Yeah, they're
You know
not
what I mean?
heroes like we said, right? They're not Team America, like
The,
the movie. So it's like, but yeah, but I mean,
the lesser of two evils.
The lesser of two evils, yeah.
Right? So what's basically going on, and leading back to the virus is, the more I see this, and what really makes me question is I'm watching all these YouTube videos in the last couple of days,
Mhm.
and they're at hospitals like all over the states. I had a friend that just had a kid here, and he was telling me like there was no one at the hospital with corona. I'm not like
yeah.
I'm not
But
like
listen,
I can know a couple people in healthcare. I haven't seen them post any crazy stuff going
yeah,
on.
it's not really. It's that's what's the weird thing is that they're making such a big deal about it, but they're like, I think there was like 5 new cases today or something, like
Well,
25. But I mean, it's just.
there's all this, bro. There's all this weird stuff going on. Like I said, I just listened to that David Icke guy again.
Let's go back.
He
to
had
that.
he had a YouTube video on, and it got pulled by YouTube.
Yeah.
And he did another one before, calling this kind of like a fake out. And when I listened to it before, I was like, whatever. I can't really get behind this right now. Like until I started seeing the YouTube stuff and everything that's going on now.
Yeah.
Then now I'm starting to think, man, maybe this guy was a little bit right. So he came out with a video. It was either today or yesterday, and it got yanked from YouTube. Like,
Really? Did you get to see it?
yeah, my buddy.
I gotta keep that. In.
Are we that boring? Our audience is keeping us, or what?
That was good.
Where were we?
David Icke, and he got pulled. His YouTube got.
Yeah. So it got pulled. So I had my buddy that keeps sending it to me send it to me on another channel, not a YouTube.
Is there I don't know if we should say it, but is there another platform where if we do get pulled or people want to see videos, like I think there's shoot or something or.
Oh, you know what? I actually, because I watch all these YouTube guys, and that happened to a bunch of them before,
Mm-hmm.
where they were all they got like red flagged or whatever,
Or
and
demonetized or whatever it's.
whatever happened. Yeah, they got all banned, and it got fixed anyway later. But during that time, they were all trying to look for different channels or different
Platforms and that,
to host on, and they couldn't. Like no one's gonna follow them. Like,
because all their following is from YouTube, right?
yeah, like people go to YouTube, they're not gonna go to some like library. What's library?
Some
like,
obscure platform.
yeah, you're gonna download library for this one YouTube guy, like
Okay,
you know what I mean?
So they so if it gets pulled, then it's just.
For now, yeah, until like ultimately with social media and as well as YouTube type platforms, and when we talk about cryptocurrencies and blockchain, we'll get more into that and decentralization. But that's really what we need. Like right now, these platforms that have control, like YouTube or Facebook, they're basically just doing the algorithms that work for them.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even really matter what you do. It's they've got the power and they're making it work how it works for them.
For sure. I want to get into cryptocurrency and how that might play into this whole scenario once we come through it. But before that, we're talking about a lot of cool stuff, guys, and we're kind of just touching on some topics. But if you'd like to hear more about if you want us to get more in depth with these topics, just shoot us an email at what is our email again there, Brad? It's confusedandinformed@gmail.com. So I had that written down. I apologize. But yeah, if you want us to get more into the deep state and learn more about it, we'll totally talk about that. We can do a whole episode of that, right? But we just want to make
Yeah.
sure people want to hear about this kind of stuff. So
Well, and we don't get red flagged and
totally.
the men in black come knocking on the door.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think our 100 views
views, yeah.
is deemed.
Yeah, I don't really just let them go. Let them go. So when we first started with this episode, I did mention that Brad is like a Bitcoin guru, but not a Bitcoin, but a cryptocurrency. So I'm really curious about this because I'm going to learn a ton from it, and I think it's just the perfect time to go into that segue into the cryptocurrency. From like, what do you think this might happen to it? Is it skyrocketing right now? Like,
it's what's going to happen. What's going to happen? What's already happening right now is pretty easy for me to see. Basically, there's going to be a push that physical cash is now dirty. Okay.
Yeah.
And
physically because it has the virus on it, right?
Yes.
Like they can pull that off.
Yes.
But I think it's illegal for stores to not accept legal tender.
Oh, I've already seen stores say credit cards only.
Yeah.
But it's not even what stores are doing right now. It's the narrative that's going to get pushed and is being pushed. So when you start seeing the headlines say that money's dirty, money carries the virus, this is just a push for them to get into digital currencies.
Okay,
And hold on, let me just keep going here. So what a digital currency is can be a number of things, okay? But what it generally is, an easy way to define it is a value. You have a store of value that's on the internet, the world internet.
Okay.
And that value is on a memo pad or it's called a ledger. So, but for everyone's sake, a memo pad. And every time you send that digital currency, whether I send it to you or I buy something from the store, it has to go through a variety of.
And we're talking about Bitcoin cryptocurrency right now. That's what you're.
In general, just a generalization.
Okay.
Of how cryptocurrencies would work,
yeah.
Bitcoin and the whole lot of them. We can get into a little more specifics later in between what a token is versus what a coin is, but they all act as monies in one way or another.
Okay.
So basically, it's just a blockchain. What a blockchain is a digital ledger. So it's just like a big history of everywhere that coin has went. So imagine you putting a tracking device on your $1 bill or your $5 bill and watching that float all around the world.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, you can see where it goes. So the reason that they want to do this and why they're getting everything digital is because it's not really a great reason. They want to be able to track everything you do and control everything you do. Mm-hmm. So with this, a lot of people think, oh, Bitcoin, I can escape the system, but that's actually not what's happening. You can track every address and check everything out that you want to check out on there. But what's going to happen is they've already developed this ecosystem of cryptocurrencies, which include Bitcoin, Ethereum, and hundreds, probably thousands of other coins. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they get traded around the world daily between people. Some of them are decentralized, meaning there's no owner. And no one's in charge, and other ones, there's a company that runs it, and they have different levels of centralization versus decentralization. So let me be clear on that. Centralization is a company that runs everything like a bank. So if a bank says we're closing down and we're not going to give you your money until Tuesday, or you're only allowed to withdraw $100 from us or whatever, they can do that because they're a centralized entity. They're their own company, and you act as a creditor to the bank.
Okay, yeah. Can you explain a little bit more of that? Like,
well, I don't want to get too much into this. We're going to lose track of what was the about what we're going. I want to
the Bitcoin.
Yeah. So anyway. So digital currencies are basically a digital ledger. We'll get into the rest later, right? So what happens is you have an ecosystem right now of cryptocurrencies that are being traded by people like me and skeptics out there that are trading and betting on some of these companies or currencies becoming mainstream. But what the governments are going to be pushing out and the central banks are going to be pushing out is what's called central bank digital currencies. So last week, I don't know if you noticed, but Trump in the United States, which everything kind of follows, all the other countries follow, came out with a $2 trillion package for small businesses and for people. And they also, the week before, came out with an unlimited bailout package for the banks. So like what this means, just so you understand, is that when you put $2 trillion into the system, it devalues everything. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Or I should say, everything's gonna go up through inflation.
it's
Your,
supply
your
and demand, right? Like,
well, your purchasing power becomes less because
yeah,
there's more bills, there's more dollars, and there's still the same amount of goods.
yeah,
So it's backed by nothing. So the more money they print, the worse it'll be for everything.
hmm
So what they're eventually, my thought is what they're going to do, and like don't quote me on this, but it's what I think they're going to do because they've done this in other countries over the last, I don't know, probably centuries, but I know for the last
yeah,
100 years for sure, is what happens when a country screws up their money system. They
yeah.
end up saying, and this happened in Mexico in the 80s. So Mexico really screwed up their money system and it like lost so much value. And then what they did is they said, hey, we're going to bring in a new money and we're going to use this new money. It's just a different piece of paper, but we're going to use this new money and you're going to give us 10 of your old pesos and we're going to give you one of these new pesos for the 10 of your old pesos.
Okay.
So basically, everybody kind of got screwed because now the new money was worth more than the old money because
Okay.
they made
Yeah, yeah.
so much old money. They made so much that it was useless. That's why you have places like Zimbabwe with $1 trillion notes, $1 billion notes, like $1 billion. In Venezuela, because their currency devalued so much, there was people taking bricks of cash and
Really? And they're just use it's just
burning them.
useless
Yeah, because it becomes ultimately useless.
monopoly money at that point.
Yeah, and so if they keep printing these dollars, the regular U.S. dollars on paper, it's devaluating the whole system. All these other countries are everything is banked against the U.S. dollar. In the
Mm.
70s and before, it used to be against gold, but because of the corruption, they changed it to the U.S. dollar so they could manipulate, and
Oh,
that's kind of coming to a head right now. So basically, because the economy's in shambles. Like I
yeah,
knew this was coming for the last 10 since '09.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's just when it was going to come and how it was going to get here. And with so many businesses shutting down, like we're in a free for all, and we'll get in.
yeah. So like with this virus and this economy, like, what is your projection of like what do you think could actually happen? Like,
Well, let me just finish with with the digital currency that's going to happen. So what I think is going to happen, I know that they're already making central bank digital currencies.
okay,
So I'll even show you here. So what's going to happen is central banks, um,
yeah,
central. Hold on, I'm just typing this out. Central banks in let me screen share this for everybody here. Central banks are in every country, right? They kind of control the way the rest of the banks work, right?
okay. So like CIBC in Canada, the central bank, I think it is the
No,
main bank.
no. There's a central bank of Canada.
Hmm.
CIBC and Royal Bank are just like the little like
Oh, okay. I thought
they're the more well, I guess they're national banks, but the central bank is the one that makes the decisions.
okay.
That's the daddy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So let me just screen share this with you, just so you can see. Actually, just a new article came out today. Okay, are you guys on there?
I can see it.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so I just typed in central bank digital currencies right here.
Yeah.
First article that comes up 11 hours ago. South Korea central bank accelerates digital currency pilot to keep up with other nations. So that's the proof in the pudding right there.
Yeah,
Other
they're
nations
just
are making this. These guys are on their way to make it. Politicians petitioned their government to join a central bank digital currency working group against with close allies including China against U.S. Against China's bid for currency supremacy. Blah 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 blah. So you have all these banks, central banks in these countries. China will pursue digital yuan, and you even have the USA in their draft before they came out and gave all that stuff out.
yeah.
The USA in their draft said, "Hey, maybe we should make a digital dollar."
Okay, I always thought they were totally against it, but maybe they're just
Bank
having
of
to
Canada, that's what it is, bro.
Bank of Canada.
Although the Bank of Canada has no plans for issuing a digital currency immediately, the central bank is not ruling out the possibility of launching one due to potential mass adoption of private digital currency and the possibility of cashless societies.
Holy shit! It
Like,
says
this
it
is
right
all
there,
nuts,
right?
bro. You want to see even more crazy stuff? This
Oh
is
yeah, it is. Like a couple years ago when I was just getting into this with you and you were telling me about it, I always heard on the mainstream media that they hated digital currency, and they're always calling it like a farce and it's a joke. Don't even believe it. But now they're gonna
Well,
make
they
this a
changed the
dollar.
narratives. They changed the narratives to make money off of the public, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm just saying that it shows that they're
so this is
like
the
in 2 years they changed their mind on that on a currency.
This is the Bank of Canada, right? Planning for a central bank digital currency. They made, if I can find it, the government of Canada has a 60-page. Shit, I can't find it, man. The government of Canada has a 68-page. Oh, here it is. This is Canada's digital currency, bro. They just said in that article they're not planning to do it. Look at this. Bank of Canada, staff document, 2018-36, blah, blah, blah. Bank of Canada, July 2018. Central bank digital currency and monetary policy.
Yeah, so
This has been going on for years, dude. Look at all this. This is like, look at how many pages this is.
yeah, this is so.
Look at these. Look at this.
61 pages to the people that are
The growth rates for cash and central bank digital currency. Like, this was all done 2 years ago. To think, and then you see headlines like, what do you see that headline? We're thinking of doing it. We're not going to do it. We're thinking of doing it. Like, no, man. Although the bank has no plans. Okay, February 25th of 2020. The bank has no plans. Yet they made a 68-page report with all the formulas 2 years ago. But it has no plans, right? Like, come on, man.
Oh, I know. That's why I say that mainstream media is not giving us all the.
You know how I know about all this?
I remember 2 years ago they were saying that they didn't even like this system, and it was.
Look at this. Look at this. This is how I know about all this, because one of these companies I invest in crypto is setting up interoperability for these big digital currency networks, right? So Payments Canada has selected SIA, which is they've adopted the cryptocurrency I use for interoperability as a provider for the country's new high-value payment system. Like this payment SIA is the application provider, as the links application provider, and that means like for the final agreement and final regulatory approval. This is all for cryptocurrencies, bro. Yeah, this was a big bid by a company. Like there was 2 or 3 companies, Colt, SIA, and Swift. And basically they're the companies that give the banks all around the world their services. So it's like a company that services 500 banks. So if that bank needs to do a different type of payment processor, they charge the bank and then give them, they give them service for that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so this means that it doesn't seem like they're going to get rid of the central banking system. They're just going to adapt this and keep the central bank, keep the government.
Of course. Everybody that believes, and I used to be one of those hippie guys, man. I used to invest in all these cryptocurrencies that were like decentralized. No one was in control.
Yeah.
And then after the big crash, I realized, like, man, I'm living in a fucking dream world. Man.
Yeah.
Like,
so really, it's just going to be a different form. It's going to be a global currency in a sense, right? It basically is.
Well, the way I see it happening, it's going to be kind of cool, actually. You're going to have these central bank digital currencies, which are going to be issued to people in the country, which will take over the dollar. And what they call stuff like the US dollar or these new central bank digital currencies they'll be called a stable dollar or a stable coin. And what a stable coin means is that they're going to stay at their certain value. So $1, basically $1 is a stable coin.
Like a mutual fund in a sense where
it's like $1. So everything can go back against that stable coin. Like they would against an ounce of gold is worth so many dollars. Or a barrel of oil is worth so many dollars. Right? Everything needs a metric so that it can back against. So they're going to make stable coins. That's why Facebook, the reason all these central bank digital currencies are popping up like very stressful right now, excuse me, is because Facebook came out and announced that they were going to make a Libra coin. And the Libra
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, and that was going to be just that. So it was going to be a stable coin, which means it's got a basket of assets tied to the value of that coin. So it always stays a certain price, right? Because of what backs it. Right now, the U.S. is printing money, and there's nothing backing it. They're not taking more gold out of the ground and saying, yeah, we have this to back the money or oil. It's just, hey, we're making money. It would be like
it's going to be terrible. Like what's going to happen out of that? Like
what's going to happen out of that is happening today. So if you look at the markets today, the Dow Jones, the S&P, the Nasdaq, Brent crude oil, all the cryptocurrencies, all gold and silver, everything is in the green. Everything's going up. You know why it's going up? Because they just said, here's a bunch of cash.
Yeah.
Okay? The system just dumped so much cash into the system, and it's doing that every day. That with so many dollars.
It's going to burst.
Well, what happens is there's so many dollars, so they're getting eaten up by assets, which is great if you're in cryptos or metals or stocks or anything right now. But also, it's horrible because the prices of food and all that stuff is going to start going up, right? Because if your dollar's not worth as much, it's going to cost more to get that food here. So that's the stuff that you got to worry about happening with the inflation and whatnot. And as for the, sorry.
I said that's a scary. Finish. I'll introduce.
Well, I was just going to say, as for the bubble bursting, like, who knows, man? I used to think it was going to burst before, but they're just saying they can just print this into oblivion. But what I think is going to happen, like, just my thoughts, is they're going to come out and be like, hey, we've got this new digital dollar. You know what I mean? You're going to have to trade in your old dollars because they're dirty. And the new digital dollar, $1 is going to be worth 5 of your old dollars. And you know why I think they're going to do that? Because that's what they've done in other countries.
Yeah.
That's how they when they
history repeats itself.
When they get too screwed up in their system, and basically what happens is there's so much debt rolling around that everything's screwed up, from like mortgages to loans to pension funds. Nothing, any way they try to maneuver, it counteracts it in the other way and just like blows stuff up. What they trade on, a lot of people trade on, is derivatives. And derivatives is just like nothing. It's just like a piece of paper, like an IOU. So it's not backed by anything, and that's a big issue. And so basically, let's say you have an ounce of silver that's traded on the markets digitally, right? There's nothing to say, like, for every real ounce of silver, like actual coin or ounce of the metal that's traded, there's like 50,000 paper contracts traded. Same with
crypto. That thing is worth.
Same with cryptocurrency. Well, you don't really own it.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to happen because there's so much stress on the system right now that they have the COMEX, which is the biggest. They do all the trading for the silver and gold and all that. They're like the regular exchange or regulated exchange that everything trades through. They trade through the paper contracts. People are now saying, "Hey, I don't want to trade the paper. Like, I want you to send me the gold and the silver and send it to me. I want the actual stuff."
Yeah, the physical metal.
Yeah, and when that blows up, it's going to be crazy. And an instance of that, just so you can see how this works quick, is silver right now, the cost of silver, a silver ounce right now, actually I'll put this on screens here because it's really interesting to see.
I also want to talk about, before we get out of here, the food epidemic that we're going to have here soon. Like the food.
Yeah, let me just go about the silver quick and then I'll get right into that. You have silver here right now for $15.25 an ounce. That's, let me see, Canadian price. $18.15 an ounce Canadian, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at, let's just go eBay, and let's go silver maple leaf coin. That's a Canadian coin. Free shipping. Okay, buy it now. You can't look at the bidding ones. You have to look at the buy it now ones. You see what this price says here?
$40, yeah.
$40. Do you see what this price says here?
That's $18.50.
Okay, do you know what that means? Do you know what that means?
Either that's not a full silver, or it's double the weight, or they're charging you more.
Put it this way. The actual price of a silver coin is $18 Canadian. But if I'm a dealer and I have those coins, I'm not. And you say, "Hey, Brad, I want to buy a silver coin." I'm going to tell you, man, I'm only going to pay you 40, or you're going to pay me $40.
Yeah, well, it's making a profit on it, obviously.
Exactly, but usually the profits are like $1 or $2.
But they're doubling them?
Exactly.
Holy shit.
Exactly. So that goes to show you like how much chaos is in the system right now.
Because there's not that much silver.
Well, man, they're charging 100% markup when they used to charge 5% markup, all within like 3 months.
That's, oh my, yeah.
Yeah.
We're in confusing times, people. This is scary shit. And just let's get on to some more scary shit. Because like what, about a month ago? How's it been? About a month since everybody's been shut down? Remember when we were talking about 6 weeks ago and everybody was rushing to the stores and getting toilet paper and going all crazy and everything like that? Well, what happens with that is the grocery stores get emptied and then the warehouses fill them up again and then they get emptied again. And then what happens is the warehouses stop getting filled up. And then that's when we start getting food shortages, and it's scary. And if we keep having these like disputes with the governments and everything like that, like with Trump saying he's going to shut down the 3M supplies to Canada, like
You know what? I don't even. You want to look at 3M? They're connected to the androchrome drug, which is the human blood drug that these elites are using.
are they really?
Dude, type in 3M androchrome coronavirus on Google, and you'll probably get a load of information on it.
So there's just conspiracies everywhere.
No, man, it's
It's not just
crazy.
it's not just the virus. So I was getting into the food thing, but like that's the food shortages is going to be scary, hey? Like
Yeah, well, it's like you said it, man. But there's like these. They say business is back up in China, but it's not really, because people are displaced. Other countries have factories shut down. If your factory needs a piece of equipment, it won't be able to operate. I watch videos of China on Hawaii Bridge or whatever, this big bridge over there, and I saw another one in town where there's mobs of hundreds of people shouting in Chinese, pissed off because their businesses are done. And we're seeing that happen here. Your business,
well, I mean,
my business, like even when we come back, it's not going to be like everybody has cash and they're spending money all of a sudden. People are tripped out. People are scared to be around people. It's not just going to be roses and tea all of a sudden.
I think this is going to have a huge effect on people's psyches, and like a lot of
PTSD, man.
yeah, and a lot of like Ativan and all that kind of drug is going to just skyrocket because so many people are going to be on it because they're going to be so stressed out from this. It's so
I don't even. People,
what do you think about like
what?
just like
People aren't even going to be able to get their pharmaceutical drugs because
well, I'm worried about like
most of that stuff comes from China, and these people can't.
yeah.
They can't.
I'm worried about like how we're going to interact with people. Like, is that going to like have long-term effects on not being around people, going back to work? Like, it's those kind of things are scary to think of too. Like, just the simple repercussions of what this is just going to do to us as a society.
Yeah.
You're freaked out going to your kids' soccer game because you don't want to stand next to anybody, and a bunch of kids playing with other kids because it's a group of people. Like, all of these little things they're saying that it kills the virus, but what else is it going to kill? On top of that, it's going to kill.
Oh yeah.
Like we're just going to be. Maybe this is the next step to AI. You know what I mean? This could be a good way to get into putting our brains all into computers, and because you and I are talking to a computer essentially right now.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. It's just like I said, when you go back to those sci-fi movies, you just kind of picture our lives slowly going in that direction. It just seems like it's
looking like that too.
Yeah, it's just on that trajectory, right?
Like we're in the first steps of it, which is I think we could see in our lifetime, like a real form of AI.
Oh, that's coming for
artificial intelligence, where it's like implanted in somebody.
Listen, so one of the cryptocurrencies, actually, two of them are involved. What they have now are called consortiums. This is the future, right? So you have a consortium, like one that's a really popular one right now is called Mobi. Let me pull this up for you and just see. This is what's happening in the future. So they say the most what is it? Mobi consortium. Type that in. Okay, yeah, I got it. Are you on share? Can you see my stuff?
Yeah, I can see it, yeah.
Okay, so what's going to happen, bro, is they're making big companies join up with new technology companies, like crypto companies. So you have this called Mobi, okay? Mm-hmm. What Mobi is here is Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative, using blockchain and related technologies to make mobility safer, greener, cheaper, and more accessible. What this basically is a working group. And let me find all the people involved. Okay, here it is. This is a working group of all these people. BMW, Bosch, Consensus, which is Ethereum, a cryptocurrency, Accenture, Group Renault, GM, IBM, Ford, another cryptocurrency, IOTA, Constellation, another cryptocurrency, Honda. The list goes on. You see all these, another crypto there. Vici, another crypto. Dovu, another crypto. All these are crypto companies and regular companies. Quant, my favorite crypto. Tezos, another one. So all of these, Hyundai. Do you see the companies are here? Hyundai, BMW, GM. Do you see how many people are here? So you know what this is? This is the future. So what these people are doing is getting together and they're figuring out how they can share data. Mm-hmm. So they get all the data so you're going to have self-driving cars. You're going to be able to stop accidents. This is the future. That's how AI works. Like, that's how it's all coming together. You're going to have trackers on all this stuff They're going to send it to one big server. They're going to jam it all around and configure it the way, and then grab intel from it, bro.
This is
That's
like
how the future's working.
Judge Dredd. Remember Judge Dredd? When they
It's
get
exactly
smartphones?
what it is. It's
That's what it's
exactly
gonna be.
it is what it's going to be. Like
I
for
don't
real.
wanna live with that. Sounds
It's gonna
terrible.
come. You know, it's got its pluses and its minuses. You're going to be living like you're living the Jetsons.
Yeah.
But you know,
Get a pill for a cheeseburger.
yeah, well, whatever. But the thing is if you're doing bad stuff in the world, it's probably going to get cut out. Like I think crime is going to be done.
When we were talking about that last episode about the cartels and that getting shut down and everything. That's
Well, Trump came out last week, and it makes perfect sense because right now you've got the entire world on lockdown.
Yeah.
If you are a drug dealer in this world, your life is going to be tough. You're not going to be able to blend in with anyone. If you're
on the street.
if you're a big drug dealer, like you know the ones that like ship from South America to the States or Canada or whatever, or Mexico or whatever, if you're one of those guys, you're not moving product because there's no planes flying, there's no boats on the sea. So if they see one boat, they're going to be like, "Who the fuck is this?"
So that's going to cause disrupt in the little.
Bro, Trump and them came. Let me find this for you. Oh, what is it? Trump and them came. Oh, I can't find it right now.
What was it about?
They came out last week on the press conference, and they're like, "We're going after cartels. We're sending ships down there. We're sending planes down there. Like it's on."
Yeah.
Like they're like, "You're not bringing drugs to the American people. You're not killing the American people." Excuse me. They're like, "We're coming to get you." And they sent all these ships and like Coast Guard, all this extra stuff. Like these guys are like, it's game over. It makes perfect sense, right? Anyone they want to get right now, including all the
time.
Yeah, because everybody's at home. People can't camouflage themselves through the world easy at all, right? So everything's shut down. You're going to see money moving, like because these gangsters have to move money online as well as physical cash. So everything they do is crippled right now, and it's the perfect time to strike when the enemy's weak, so to speak. So you know,
Or stuck at home.
yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of stuff's going to get cleaned up. A lot of stuff.
So you always got to find the positive in everything, right? So.
Well, a lot of positive. You know, I talked to my buddy, and he said this whole Corona, and you know, and I think me and you've talked about this, and hence why we're doing the show and whatnot. It's like a reset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your whole life is thrown upside down right now.
And there's opportunity to be made. And
that's the thing. You got to look for like. You know, I've talked to so many people about even being guests on our show and stuff, and I'm like, you know, now's the perfect time to do self-promotion or start that YouTube workout video you wanted to do, or, you know, if you wanted to be any type of, you know, whatever.
This is a perfect time also to get in shape because you got nothing else to do. So
totally start
your New Year's resolution again right now.
Exactly. Well, I totally did in so many aspects.
So
right?
have I too, man. So have I.
Yeah, I know you have too. We both have.
Working out. It's just because it's like you said this to me. We're gonna get out of here pretty quick, but you said this to me, which is it's just ranks so true to me. It's like we are in war right now. It's a different kind of war, but we definitely are in some kind of a war that we really don't know what the enemy is coming at us. Even Trump says we're fighting a war that we don't know the enemy, and it's scary because so many things are just upside down, and it's not going to go back to normal.
Well, that's the thing. You can look at it this two ways, and a lot of people, and you even admit you did this at first, is you can get drunk, you can just sit at home and watch TV and kind of wonder what's going on and hang around and not really get on top of it. Or you can say, you know what, man, my life is unknown right now.
Yeah.
And I want to make some moves to at least give me some confidence and some hype to get some stuff going. Like I doubt we're going to be making millions off this show. Who knows? Maybe down the road or anything like that. But I don't even count on any advertising. Just something to do that's a positive in the world full of so many negatives. Like you said, the exercising, the doing the show like this. You know, I created my website. It's being built for the cryptocurrencies. I'm doing sprouts and wheatgrass right now. You know, you're cooking, and you're making different dishes for your dog too as well these days, right?
Well, and also if it wasn't for this virus, we wouldn't have probably done the show because we're procrastinating for 2 years.
Now we got
time and we can do it, and there's actually like a lot of stuff to talk about too. So
exactly, and
there's a lot of people that don't want to watch because they're tired of watching Friends or the new thing on Netflix. It's like
there's nothing new on Netflix anymore. It's done. It's over. I don't know. I just know they're not making new episodes.
I just watch conspiracies all day long. It's just.
Well, you want to know something? And before this happened, I used to watch TV you know, at nighttime, a couple hours a night. But since this has
The
happened, like,
Kardashians.
yeah, anything reality, bro. But since this has happened,
That's fun, yeah.
my TV time has been cut way down because I
Right, yeah.
feel like, man, I feel so busy every day. You know,
I honestly feel like I'm like the last like week and week, I'm like I don't even have a job right now, but I've got like a list of shit to do every single day, and it's just because I'm really trying to make every minute of the day
of course,
because we're gonna be going back to work, so I'm trying to get everything, all my little checklists off, like do your spring cleaning now, like, all that kind
yeah,
of shit, and it's just
yeah.
and then once you've got your momentum going, then it's just gonna you're already gonna be driving when everybody else is just starting their car.
It's way more. It makes you feel way more powerful to get a bunch of check marks in the win column.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
absolutely.
mean? So every
Yeah.
little thing you do is like a bonus, and it just takes, you know, if you can look at this whole situation with the virus and our lockdown as hey man, like man, I can make all the changes in my life right now that I made excuses
Hmm.
for years. Do you know what
Totally.
I mean? Like I
Yeah.
can do this all right now because my life is upside down. I'm
And
not
we got
going to
another month
work.
off at least, so might as well be productive and
I'm
study.
not hanging out with my friends or doing stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just sorry, my dog's trying to
Yeah,
get up.
that's cool. We're gonna get out of here pretty quick anyway, so just you can check on her. But
No, she's
I think I don't know. We've had a great episode, actually two great episodes. So I hope everybody's enjoying the content that we're trying to put out for you guys. I think we're gonna get into 5G next time. I really want to learn about this. Brad was mentioning it to me, and
I actually heard a lot
it's
about it today.
yeah, it's pretty freaky. I've listened to some podcasts, and it almost could be like as physical. It's not just faster internet. It's like it could screw with our brains and everything like that. Like they
Yeah,
were saying with
let's
bees
get
and
it, let's get into that in another episode.
yeah, the next episode. But that's what I'm saying. We're gonna probably wrap it up here because we've talked about a lot of it. I would love to get into more of this kind of stuff. So if anybody's interested in hearing more of these, we could get more into detail, right? But we just want to make sure we have an audience. We don't want to bore people. So shoot us an email at confusedandinformed@gmail.com. Go check out Brad's website. It is cryptolearn.ca. Shoot
No,
him
it's
an
still
email.
being built though.
It's still being built, but it'll be up. It's
Uh,
gonna say coming soon, but you might be listening to this in the future, and it'll be up by then anyway. So
yep.
yeah, and then check us out on Facebook as well at Confused and Informed. And I am a tattoo artist, like I said in the beginning. And if you want to check out my work, maybe you wanted to book a tattoo with me if you are in the Calgary area, but a lot of you probably won't be down the road. But my Instagram handle is at Tattoos by Toma. So check us out. I had a lot of fun, dude, with these two episodes. I don't know what you're thinking.
Yep,
I want to keep doing this.
for sure.
5G. What else are we going to be talking about? What do you like?
I want to do an episode on my favorite crypto coin.
Yes, and we are going to do one on The Simpsons. Remember, we said that too. We definitely got to do
Simpsons and
something
time travel.
time travel.
Get
Yeah,
into yeah, we'll figure it
we're going
out.
to get into a little bit of politics with oil. We're going to get one of our friends on board, and he's going to come talk to us about.
I
He
got
was
a guy
in,
that does trading too, like trades currencies.
I think so, but he worked in the oil industry.
No, I'm saying I have a buddy.
Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
misunderstood. Yeah,
A few
so yeah,
buddies. I'll talk to my buddy that's down in Central America and I see what's going on with him down there. He says
yeah,
he's got some wild things to say about how life is down there. So it'll
for
be,
sure. And you also said you had a couple friends in Hong Kong, so maybe we could get them on and just to
yeah,
see what their perspective is and what's actually going down. You know, that's what we are, guys. We're a variety show, so it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about pretty much anything that's interesting. We might even talk about the Kardashians. We might have a
Huh.
10-minute episode of the Kardashians, just to ease Brad so he can get his reality fix.
there you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
So I don't know what do you say. Do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, yeah.
We did good. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate everything. You guys are awesome. Thanks, Brad, for being such a wicked co-host.
Thank you,
Had a
bro.
lot of fun, guys. Confused and informed. Make sure to follow us and like us and share us.
See you soon.
Peace. Later.